Sports Podcast. Welcome in, everyone. Episode 203. What did I just say? I just said it. 204. Just said it. What's up, everybody? Jared Scali, Diego Galvis has joined me this week. For those of you on video, you can see his beautiful face. No Nick, because we told you Nick is just taking a hiatus for whatever reason he wants to. It's his choice. Alan is on vacation this week. Alan, you don't deserve vacation. What are we doing?
The funniest thing is that he's up in Maine on vacation on 420.
Yeah.
If that doesn't say tree hugger to the max, I don't know what else does.
Alex, you don't need to hide it. I live in New Hampshire. I get it. Just say you were going to Maine for 420 and then come back. It's really okay. We understand. But it's all right. Diego's better anyway. Diego's an upgrade. Don't forget, of course, Twitter, Spotify, all that good stuff. Follow us, YouTube and Twitch for the network, CouchGuySports.com. I preach it every week. Just go follow everything. What's up, bud? I haven't done a show. When have I ever done a show with you besides like coming on yellow card stuff?
Never. I think this is our first.
Because you usually are like Phil for me. Like you're usually the guy out calls when I can't do shit. That happens a lot.
Or I filled in for Nick, and that's
exactly.
About it.
Yeah, pretty much. Speaking of yellow card podcast, we are going to talk a little soccer tonight on this show. And for those of you who listen to this regularly, we don't talk soccer. Like it's not. I enjoy soccer. Like I said, I've been on with Diego and Yellow Card Podcast, phenomenal soccer podcast. Go follow it. Me and him are big man. You guys, so like, I'll talk soccer, but Nick and Al just won't do it. So I just leave it. I just text Diego. Diego's my soccer fix. And when I want to talk soccer, I just text Diego. It's me and Diego tonight, so we're going to talk a little bit of soccer because this whole Super League thing happened overseas, and well, it happened and didn't. We're also going to talk Celtics, and we'll talk the normal crap that we talk about here in Boston. But Diego, let's talk Super League first, just to do it and rip the Band-Aid off, because you said something interesting. And before I get to that, before the show, you said something interesting, but you probably know more of the ins and outs than I do, like the details, because you're a hardcore soccer guy. Can you just take everyone on this, again, non-soccer podcast here. Mm-hmm. Take us through what actually happened and what it would have meant if it actually did happen, if the Super League actually went through.
Sure. So what happened in between April 18th and up to now? So
mind you, today's April 20th as we record this. It all happened in like 2 days.
Yeah, in the past 48 hours, what transpired was 12 of the major clubs in Europe. So picture like if like the Patriots, Cleveland Browns,
Cowboys.
The big 12 franchises of the NFL. Picture that, for example. They kind of came up with this idea that was circulating back in 2019 and now circulated back again this year, of running what they would call the European Super League. What that league really is all about is the 12 mega forces just competing for the major title of who's the bigger force in Europe. No relegation, meaning like you won't be removed from the league if your team sucks. You just continue to stay on.
Which happens in European football / soccer, people.
Yeah. And in addition, every year there would be about 3 to 5 spots for additional teams to come in and join. The world of soccer basically went into an upheaval at this point, and fire was all over the place, where fans really spoke their minds faster than they ever had.
Players too. Players of these teams.
So the weirdest part was owners were all in on this. But players and managers had no idea what the hell was happening. So there was zero transparency from any of these clubs. And on top of that, players finally had enough and were like, you may think you owe me, but it's actually the fans why I'm even here. And so fans, players, managers basically all got together. And in the course of 24 hours, things turned around to the point where this big, massive, powerful league that was soon to happen basically crumble faster than a cookie.
It's insane. It's insane. And you talked about this before we got on. They basically, it's a money grab, right? It's an extra league. Mm-hmm. It's more play. They get to always play good games. Some of the teams that were leading this aren't even in the Champions League this year. And for those of you who don't know, the Champions League is like, if you're one of the top teams in your respective league in Europe and over there, then you get to play other countries' teams and be like the best team overseas. Mm-hmm. Manchester United, my team, Diego's team, qualified, did not earn their spot. They get to try again next year, though. They'll get to try again. They will definitely get to try again. But they were talking about banning people from that league, like the Champions League.
Well,
And
not only that, but also bigger repercussions too. I mean,
they were talking like any player or personnel involved with those teams in that league, it potentially kicked out of the Premier League. Anything FIFA related, they were going to be banned from that. So that includes the World Cup, which is like the only time a lot of global people watch soccer here in the United States is the World Cup for men and women. So like if our U.S. team could actually just qualify, they were gonna hammer down on these clubs. Rightfully so, by the way. Like, I think like there was no reason to disrupt the powers over there. Like, it had a really good thing going. It's one of the best games in the globally. Look, soccer's not my number one by any means, but like, it's the most popular sport globally. There's no way to deny that. And you had a really good system. And there were talks about, like you said this, Diego, to me before. There were talks about pulling European soccer into the States and basically turning the MLS into that. What that is like. They were talking about getting a bunch of players coming this way, and then the MLS would have become relevant. Now, would that have been fun? Yes. But it's for the good of the game. It just couldn't happen. Like, you couldn't afford to have like Bruno Fernandes, guys, Manchester United, come over and play for the Revs. Like it just isn't good for soccer. Like, I wish the MLS was there, but it's not. Like, you and I watch the Revs, but like, it's just not what it is, because there's so many other sports in this country that are more popular. Like, it'll never become the National Football League, which is what EPL and like Champions League, that's what NFL is what that is to them. So when I saw this whole thing happen, and it's such a funny point, the owners are really what you said, the owners are who wanted it. The owners that wanted it are all American.
Yeah, it's all American influence. I mean, Joe Glazer, he used to be Tampa Bay Buccaneers guy. We have the Fenway Sports Group, of course, Mr. Ford having to be
how much
involved in
I
everything.
love the Fenway Sports Group, Diego.
Which is actually hilarious too, because now that LeBron James is part of the Fenway Sports Group, being involved with this, something that all across Europe, the message was the same. This is what the people had created, and now the rich are trying to take it away. So
that was plastered everywhere. That was everywhere. Yeah.
Knowing LeBron James and how he stands for social equality overall, this is something that doesn't really look good at all on his behalf either, because him being involved and his name being involved, it's just a hypocritical move at this point, how fans would see it. Now, obviously, he probably had no idea that this was even happening.
He had no idea.
I'm sure Ford kept it under the rug as much as he could.
When he came into Fenway Sports Group, he probably had no idea this was even happening. Like, no clue.
And now he probably just knows Mo Salah and Sadio Mane, and that's about it.
Right, exactly, yeah, 100%. and now there's talks about, like, you said there was two teams that potentially could be now for sale. To the top teams in the Premier League. Who cares about the bottom teams? They just get relegated anyway. One thing, by the way, side note, American sports could benefit from, like, can we relegate the New York Jets from the NFL? Like, can we combine? The biggest thing I've always wanted to do, I think the MLS, the Canadian Football League, Mexico, that should be one big league with relegation. Like, MLS be the big league and like relegate back and forth.
And I think that's bound to happen too, though, because I think as like the past 48 hours really gave a bigger outlook towards the world of soccer, towards the world of football, however Europeans want to call it. The MLS merger with the Mexican League has been a conversation that's been going on for quite a while now. Yep. And I think at this point is not only for the benefit of the game in itself, but I think it's also for the benefit financially for the whole entire continent itself, because it offers an opportunity for European powers to truly invest in this side of the company, in this side of the continent, I meant, and really focus their direction in developing professional talent too. So it's a win-win for all, basically.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And I think, to not talk about soccer for hours, I think the MLS should even just not do playoffs. Like, I get people in America love the playoff system, but I think they should just model European soccer and just you win the league, and that's it. Yeah. But one thing they should relegate, if the NFL and the CFL ever got together, just if you suck, if you're the New York Jets, go play in the Canadian Football League. Like, go away for a year, figure it out. If you're the Detroit Lions, go play in the CFL. Bring me your best team. For a couple teams from the CFL, bring them down. We have MLB teams. We have NBA teams in Canada. Why can't we have switch back and forth and make the Jets go play in Canada and let them figure it out?
Relegate the Orioles and bring back the Montreal Expos.
Oh my God! If we could relegate the Baltimore Orioles, that would be amazing. Just please. I know they swept us the first series, but like they're still terrible. You need to relegate them. You need to relegate the Colorado Rockies, maybe the Pittsburgh Pirates. Like you just need to relegate some teams to Canada. All right, not soccer talk, but we had to talk about it because it's a big deal. Like
Yeah.
it could, and mind you, the soccer world almost just got lit on fire. Like
soccer almost ended in
yeah,
the biggest part of the whole entire world.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna jump out of soccer, but we had to do it. I had to do it with Diego here. It was actually really good timing, Diego. The week that we're together is the week that all this shit happened.
Yeah, really.
It like kind of couldn't have worked out better. Anyway, let's talk. Let's go Boston Celtics first.
Sure.
I'm a big basketball nut. And obviously, you haven't really been on since the deadline, so I'm curious. For one, do you think Danny was aggressive enough? Like, did you enjoy the Evan Fournier move? Yeah, he obviously is in the COVID protocols. Dude can't stay safe. But overall, do you think right now, the way this team is constructed, yes, they lost to the Chicago Bulls. Are they good enough? They've won a good amount of games in a row besides the loss to Chicago. They seem like they're finding their stride. They're probably going to end up being the 4 seed the way they're playing now, and there's not many games left. So assuming they're the 4 seed, is that good enough to host a first-round playoff game, avoid the play and crap at the bottom of the league this year, and potentially make a push at the right time and challenge some of these top dogs like Philadelphia?
I mean, I think what Danny tried to do here with the Celtics was pretty much a mirroring image of what Hein Bloom is doing with the Red Sox, trying to create a farm system full of youth, full of little experience to kind of create that extra fire to motivate them and say, listen, you're with an organization that has won 17 banners. This is your time to create a championship run and make it all about you and the team that is around you. I think with the Evan Fournier move, I think that was more of a financial move than anything, especially with the little room that they had to work with, considering. Because quite frankly, I think if we had gone for bigger names, obviously the end result would have been much better. I mean, say, for example, the Celtics got somebody like a Blake Griffin rather than the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, who wouldn't be excited about that, right?
For sure.
I do think that this move with Jabari Parker is actually a really, really good move because it's somebody who has always been a Celtics fan, breathes and lives green, and
working hard. He just he is a Celtic.
Working hard. It's basically like having Isaiah Thomas, but not having Isaiah Thomas. Because Isaiah Thomas was that guy that kind of breathed and bleed the spirit of Celtics fans while at the Garden. But him being more of a fan of the Celtics is bringing that atmosphere into the locker room, saying, guys, we can't fuck up. We need to win it for we need to win it for the fans. We need to run it.
Blows my mind too. It blows my mind too because like you bring up Isaiah Thomas. He's still sitting out there. Like he signed his 10-day contract. He played for 10 days. He killed it with the Pelicans. There's no need for the Pelicans to re-sign him. Like they didn't need him, but they almost did him a favor and said, "Hey, come play for 10 days and show the league what you got." He killed it. He was on fire. I don't have his stats in front of me, but like, if you're Danny Ainge, why haven't you made that happen? Like I'm one of those guys that like I get it. Like you're going to take away from Pritchard. You're going to take away minutes, but like it's almost just more of a spark at that point. Like you just need some energy off the bench. Now Jabari Parker just kind of dismisses all possibility of that. Like you brought in Jabari Parker, but like, why wouldn't that even be did they even talk about it? Like I want to know if they talked about it.
I think
did they figure out if it was even worth it.
Yeah, I think in Danny's mind, it's more of like kind of like a professional mindset setting, where like if you were in a developing corporation, you don't usually bring back somebody who was here before, because usually that sends mixed signals. It's either the picture is really not clear up front, or you're trying to revert back to a plan that didn't work back then and hoping that it works again this time. So I think that was more the mindset. Personally, I don't think even Danny even consider it as an option, bringing back Isaiah Thomas. I think basically with having Marcus Smart being that fire in that locker room, he didn't want two very opposite attitudes to kind of collide and create a worse atmosphere in the locker room itself. He kind of wants things to continue to move forward, continue to be as good as they've been. I mean, we've been on a heater here. I mean, you mentioned it earlier. We lost the Chicago Bulls. Okay, big deal. But like,
mind you, didn't have Kemba, Smart, or Brown that game because of COVID.
Exactly. But you look at people like Tatum, Jaylen Brown. Like those two continue to be just absolute animals in this league.
And Celtics Twitter keeps trying to trade him. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Guys, Tatum and Brown are your future. Like, I don't care. The biggest thing with the Evan Fournier trade, I've been saying this too outside of even this show, but like them trading for Evan Fournier this year versus someone else shows you, I don't know if Danny necessarily believes in this team. Like he does, and he thinks like, if they get hot at the right time, they can make a splash. Like look at last year too. But with Brooklyn the way they are, right? Brooklyn's now, we knew that was coming, right? KD and Kyrie are coming back. The Philadelphia 76ers got a real head coach in Doc Rivers and figured out how to talk to the superstars like a human being. And so now they're finally playing like they should have been the whole time. The Celtics are not there. And he sees this as okay, Evan Fournier I want here long term, but like he's a good piece with Tatum and Brown long term. Tatum and Brown, guys, don't forget, they're not that old. And Evan Fournier is not even that old. So like all you really need to do is find one more piece to play with Tatum and Brown, which in my eyes, it's Bradley Beal. Like I've been saying this day one, like Bradley Beal's a free agent after next year. So you could realistically wait it out or trade for him because he has a no move clause and he'll waive it to come play with Tatum. And so like that, I think that it seems like that's Danny's play, which would be, Bradley Beal, Tatum, Brown, Marcus Smart, maybe, and like Robert Williams. Like that's a lineup. Like that might win you a title. And like, I just want this team to do what the Red Sox, you mentioned High Bloom. I just want the Red Sox to be like the Celtics in the sense of like, I want them to be good up front, and the Red Sox are good this year. We'll talk about that. But like, I want the Celtics to build something that can last more than a year in a splash and then have to figure it out again. Like, I'm not to the part where I don't trust Danny Ainge doing his job. Like, I think, people talked about them trading up for Jabari Parker. That was probably a bad decision if that ever happened. Trading for Paul George and like maybe, but like Paul George wouldn't have probably worked here. Like there were some good moves that Danny Ainge avoided that everyone was like, oh, trade for Jimmy Butler, do this. Like, no, I think he did it right. But he also planned on Kyrie not being a complete a-hole. Like,
well, not only that, but I think if people like really wanted somebody like a Paul George in here, or maybe even a Jimmy Butler, you got to remember that those two people, specifically those two people, are very injury prone, insanely injury prone. So not only are you taking a huge hit into your cap space, but your return on investment is very minimal, especially right now in the era of post-COVID and trying to create financials and really create a sustainable future for yourself. These are the kind of moves that you're going to have to make unless you've had this cap space for a very long time available, and now is the time that you pull on the trigger. Example like the Brooklyn Nets. They didn't really need Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce to go to their organization if we really look at it. It was just a cheap move for them to kind of create some excitement around the organization and finally get to a cap space where you can spend some money. You can build a powerful team. Now you have it.
They're loving their life in Brooklyn. I still Danny Ainge won the trade, right? Like I still believe that they fleeced the crap out of him. You ended up with Tatum and Brown because of that trade. So your future is bright because of it, but they ended up with Kyrie and Kevin Durant. So which is clearly what Danny's plan A was. Like Kevin Durant came for a visit and almost won him. They almost won over Golden State. Kyrie Irving was here and playing with Gordon Hayward, and that was the plan. Like they had plans that didn't work out, but it's not that for lack of Danny Ainge trying. I get Danny made a trade for Kyrie freaking Irving, and he was a Celtic for 3 years. So look, it was the right move. You can't blame him. But now stop trying to trade Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, please, guys. Dude, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are superstar all-stars, and once like Steph Curry, like they're the next faces, like Donovan Mitchell and these guys, and Jamal Murray. These guys are the next phase of the league. Steph Curry's not going to play forever. He has his championships and he has kids. Like LeBron James can't play forever. Granted, we say the thing about Tom Brady and he's still playing. So like LeBron James could play for the next 10 years. He's healthy enough. So like, it's just intriguing to see where this team is going. But like, look, they will win a championship with Tatum and Brown at some point. They will. I believe Brad Stevens will be the coach when it happens. Like they have something going here. They believe in those guys. It's just not going to happen this year because Kevin Durant's in your way.
No, I would agree. Yeah, absolutely.
Doc Rivers. I'm rooting for Doc Rivers. That's my team. I'm rooting for Philly if the Celtics don't pan out because I want Doc Rivers to win another ring. I wish it happened in LA, like not here. But like Doc Rivers deserves another ring. He got screwed in the Clipper. Like, he got screwed in La La Land, man.
He wasn't treated right over there either.
No, he got screwed. And then Tyronn Lue got the job. Like, damn. Oh man. But hey, You know what, Diego? You know what is blooming is the flowers. Grass is
There we go.
growing. It's time to chop the weeds, Diego. Thanks to our sponsor, Manscaped, you can trim your holes safely and efficiently. I'm talking about ball trimmers, guys. Manscaped, the global leaders in men's below-the-waist grooming, have an exclusive offer for our audience. You know it by now. It's Coach Guy 20, the code. Get 20% off, free shipping, manscaped.com. Join the other 2 million men who trust Manscaped. They're here to make sure you have trimmed and smelling nice. After all, guys, it's time for some spring cleaning. Spring is sprung, guys. Manscaped is the best tools to get you ready. Manscaped, Diego, I tell the story a lot. Like, I use it because it stares me in the face because it comes with a little charger, and I leave it in the bathroom. Because why would I not at that point if it comes with a charger? If you don't manscape enough or you feel guilty for not like manscaping enough, perfect package. Leave it on the charger. It stares you in the face. It makes you feel guilty if you don't grab it. You shower every morning almost, right? Pandemic, a little less. I'll give you that. I have. You work at home. You don't shower every day. I promise you that you don't. And when you have a kid like I did, you still don't shower every day. But that's the best thing about it is the little charger. It's great. They're the men's global leader in below the waist grooming and have forever changed the grooming game for their amazing products. And they're here to help with your above the waist tools too. Have you heard of the Weed Whacker, Diego? It's this nose and ear hair trimmer provides the proprietary skin safe technology, which helps prevent nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate holes. No more grass nose hairs flying in the wind. The premium Manscaped Weed Whacker uses a 9,000 RPM motor powered 360-degree rotary dual blade system. Of course, Manscaped is making whacking your weeds a time to look forward to, delivering your maximum confidence while providing hygiene. The Crop Preserver is an anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer. It's great and it keeps you fresh. It starts to get hot outside. And guys, this is crucial so your balls stop sticking to your leg. It is actually the worst thing ever. You'll also find the Crop Reviver spray on toner for your balls, which will, of course, keep you smelling fresh down there, just like spring flowers. Speaking of smelling fresh, complete your grooming game this spring with the new refined cologne signature scent by Manscaped. This stuff is legit and will have you smelling like royalty. Al swears by it. Brings it up every week. He loves it. He loves to wear it to school. It smelled good for his day job. He's probably wearing it up in Maine to smell good for the holiday. So it's good. The cologne is light, approachable, and of course, gentlemanly in all the right ways, just like Al. And you'll be able to talk of the next quarantine hangout. Smell good, feel good this spring. Again, get 20% off free shipping with code CouchGuy20 at manscaped.com. Do yourself a favor. Always use the right tools for the job. Again, it's 20% off and free shipping with the code CouchGuy20 at manscaped.com. 20% off free shipping. CouchGuy20, manscaped.com. Guys, it's spring cleaning, baby, and your balls will thank you. I promise they have thanked me. They have. So it's great.
They've thanked me for a while. So
yeah, Diego, Manscaped, man. Couch Guy 20.
Yes, sir.
There is a stink bug flying around my head. I think stink bugs are the worst.
Yes.
They are not, and they were bad. They've been bad. I'm going to go on a tangent here. Stink bugs suck. They were really bad last year, and then the weather got warmer, and then all of a sudden they're everywhere again. Like, go the fuck away.
Yeah.
Go away.
Yep. That'll happen.
Go outside. Go outside. It's nice out, just like I want to do. Go outside. All right. Patriots, because we can't not talk about Patriots because the draft's next week.
Unbelievable how fast this thing is coming.
Yeah. Oh. Draft's next week. We're probably going to have the quarterback of our future next week. That's what I'm hoping anyway. And we'll have another episode, of course, next week before this. But we might not get a chance to talk to Diego again. We'll see, depending on how Alan, if Alan has a little hangover from 420, then maybe Diego will come back on. But next week, there's a very strong possibility that Belichick does Belichick and just either trades out of the first round completely or just takes defense at 50 is really what I'm leaning towards. But the big thing with the Patriots has been they're attending second pro days for all these guys. Justin Fields and Trey Lance both had quarterbacks, for those of you who haven't been paying attention, both had second pro days this week in the last couple days. We're going to get to Belichick not attending in a second. But does them doubling down on this really point to the fact they've never done this before? Like, they're visiting all the top quarterbacks. They're really making an effort on this position. Some people are still thinking that they might just stay pat and not trade up. But, like, if someone they like, say Trey Lance or Justin Fields, is available 4, 8, 10, wherever they want to potentially target, like, how do they not trade up?
Yeah. I mean, I think the realistic picture here is a potential trade with the Giants on number 11.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Giants right now just probably need an additional piece at receiving. And where N'Keal Harry has been one of those names that's been hot in the market lately from like Washington football team. The Giants themselves have had interest in him. The Philadelphia Eagles are also interested. I think at this point, this is where it becomes convenient to have somebody like N'Keal Harry be in the center of attention. At number 11, somebody like a Justin Fields or somebody like a Trey Lance could easily slip up because the needs at the other teams ahead of that are either obviously Trevor Lawrence. It's a quarterback that's got to be going straight to Jacksonville. There's no question about that.
He's already taking he got like birthday donations from Jacksonville fans. He's already like donating to local charities in Jacksonville. Like,
yeah,
he's going to Jacksonville.
So I mean, I personally think like the way that the first round is gonna go, it's obviously Trevor Lawrence to Jacksonville, Zach Wilson to the Jets, Mac Jones maybe to San Francisco, considering San Francisco also needs a quarterback. Interestingly enough, I actually see Kyle Pitts ranking up to the 4th spot, maybe going to Atlanta because
I saw that today. They're
because Atlanta. I mean, Atlanta really needs a tight end right now. They have what's his name? They have a tight end, but they need an additional.
Is it Andrews? Piece. Is it Mark Andrews?
No, that's Baltimore Ravens. What's his name? Hayden Hurst.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
They have him a tight end. Bengals are probably gonna need offensive line weapons, so Penny Sewell could easily go there. Where Miami is right now, there is no way that they pass somebody like Jamar Chase. There is no way in my mind.
Yeah, and there was reports that Miami might be dealing again. Like there were talks about them trading out of that 6th pick that they just dealt for and did fireworks earlier on with 49ers and Eagles. So like the big thing with this too is like you look ahead of you. Denver really is the only team that you're really not sure about their plan at quarterback.
I think Denver could easily go for Justin Fields, just simply because they have so many questions in regards of Drew Lock as well.
But there's like a chance that like if Denver wants a quarterback, like so you're gonna have someone available if you want one of them.
Yeah.
Because like if Mac Jones say go 3, then that leaves Trey Lance, Justin Fields. If Denver takes one of them, no one else in front of you is taking a quarterback.
No.
Like Carolina just made the trade for Sammy Darnold, so they're off that board, and they were the other one I was concerned about. So you're going to have most likely the ability to get either Trey Lance or Justin Fields, hence them going to both these pro days.
Yeah.
Why wasn't Belichick there? Like he was working. I trusted he was working. I'm not like going to be too upset about it, but like he did go to Mac Jones's pro day, and again, he's boys with Saban. That's probably just a boys trip. But like, I understand that he trusts McDaniels, but like he's sending other guys that if you're really looking for the quarterback of the future, why isn't Belichick on a plane? Like, wouldn't you want him there? Don't you want him there if you're really going to set up for these ones?
I think at this point where he's had Josh basically design a complete different playbook now that Tom Brady's not there and you kind of need to create some other additional offensive plays. I think it's beneficial for Josh to really be there and work with the quarterbacks to see what amplitude they bring in, especially post the Cam Newton era, where Cam Newton is perfect to scramble in the pocket. He knows how to run and make a deep run for things. The guy can throw, but again, last year, how can you throw to somebody that's not going to catch the ball? It's like wishing for an interception at no real cost there. So I think at this point, really what the game of the Patriots is going to be more like is basically a mirroring image of a Lamar Jackson combined with Pat Mahomes kind of game where you scramble in the pocket, but if you need to throw, you're going to hit that dagger.
Yep. And I still think the Patriots want to be throw first. I think the Patriots want someone who can run around. Like I honestly think Justin Fields might be the ideal fit for what they're probably planning.
Oh yeah.
I mean, besides obviously Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence, like someone that really can run around, is mobile, is proven. Like I think Trey Lance can do it too, and I think you're probably going to end up with Trey Lance if you have to get the bottom of it. If you don't trade up ahead of anyone, you're probably getting Trey Lance or nobody in that out of those top groups because Trey Lance is the guy that isn't proven. Like he's the one that didn't play last year, really. So, my guess is you end up with Trey Lance, which I'm fine with. Like I think Trey Lance can play in the NFL, and you know what? It's better than Stidham. So Well,
Yeah.
like what at that point, just draft Trey Lance. You still have Cam Newton, right? You're planning on Cam being the starter clearly. So bring in Trey Lance. If you want Stidham to compete for it, great. He's not going to win. And you move forward with Trey Lance behind Cam Newton. And if Trey Lance shows enough signs that he can play and Cam Newton sucks, like I kind of expect him to, then you just play the kid and see what you got. Like,
Yeah.
you're not losing much. And at this point, it sounds like you're not going to have to trade all the way up to 4 to get anybody, because it sounds like Justin Fields and Trey Lance might be sliding. And and if Denver shocks you and doesn't take a quarterback, then like you have options there. So I'd be shocked if they trade up past like 10. I don't think they'll. The more I'm seeing this, the more I think Atlanta's staying at 4 and taking tight end, taking Fitz. Like I don't think they're trading out of that 4 pick. They'd be stupid to be honest. Especially if they want to keep winning with Matt Ryan. Like they need to get him another weapon, and it's a good weapon to have. I look at the Patriots this year and expect Cam Newton to be the starter the whole year.
Oh yeah, there's no question.
Like Cam Newton will be the starting quarterback this entire season, because Belichick doesn't like to play rookies. So even if it is Trey Lance, like he's not going to play him. I'm curious what your take is, and then we can wrap it up there because we've done a lot of talking tonight. But like, there's been talks apparently, and I saw this Mike Giardi of NFL Network, formerly local around here, basically said today like he's hearing more out of camp how impressed they are again with Cam Newton and Jarrett Stidham, and how the mentality of Jarrett Stidham has improved. He's the one that led the charge of Patriots West when everyone that all got signed, when they had the big spending spree. Everyone kind of met out there and with him and Cam and learned for the week and like learn a little bit of the offense. And he led the charge, and they like his demeanor a lot more this offseason than they did last year. Are we going to fall for this again? Like, are we going to have the Jarrett Stidham looks good, they love Jarrett Stidham parade again until we don't? Like, we've had this 2 years ago and it didn't work. Like, clearly there's nothing there, or he would have had to play over. He had ample opportunities to play over Cam Newton last year, Diego.
Right.
Like, Diego, he sucked, Cam. You couldn't play Jarrett Stidham last year. Like, I know he probably didn't earn it, but like, did Cam? Like, Cam sucked. I don't know. I'm sick of kind of hearing that Stidham looks good and has the right tangibles.
Well, I mean, when you look at the two quarterbacks in comparison, it's really unfair to compare, considering that their game is completely different. Stidham is somebody who basically grew in the NFL following a Tom Brady regime, whereas really focused on throwing outside of the pocket, get to your target immediately, kind of no more than 10-second hold on to that ball and immediately
he's more the Brady offense than anyone else. That day.
Cam Newton himself, he's used to a Carolina Panthers offense where you have to scramble, run, and hope to throw. But if you throw it, you know that you're going to have somebody that's going to catch the ball. Last year in New England, there was nobody that was going to catch the ball. Demir Byrd was always covered. Myers was a potential option every maybe third game, and when he was an option, he was targeting him and he was catching the ball. Julian Edelman was outside of the picture, and glad that he's retiring and taking care of that body as well, because he's taking way too many hits. And aside of that, what do you have? N'Keal Harry that catches a ball maybe once after every 20 throws at his way.
It's absolutely
it's absolutely ridiculous. I think the one major plus last year was when Stidham threw that pass where N'Keal Harry basically dives at the end zone against the Chiefs. That was like the one highlight of his whole entire season last year. I think this year, though, where you are far more encouraged to actually be a decent quarterback because of the talent that you got around you, the demeanor has got to change. You got to be far more focused. You got to be far more driven, and you got to think big. And that's where Cam really makes an impact for somebody like Jarrett Stidham, whose career is still developing in the NFL. Because who knows, maybe mid-season, Jarrett Stidham could easily be traded to somewhere like, I don't know, Raiders, Chargers, Broncos. I mean, who knows? He could easily go anywhere. He could easily be a backup quarterback in Atlanta as well for Matt Ryan. So, at this point, I think it's much more of a benefit for Stidham to kind of have that growth mentality. I don't think he's going to have any chances to be the quarterback in the Patriots organization unless a major injury happens to Cam.
Which no one wants. Like, I'd rather Cam play than Jarrett Stidham.
Yeah, which
those
no
are your
one
two
wants.
quarterbacks. Like, I'd rather Cam play.
But I think at this point, I think if you are Jarrett, I think you are, you're concerned about your job and your career in the NFL, because if you don't take it serious this year, that is your last opportunity to. That is seriously your last opportunity.
And it seems like they're leaning on at least having him around in camp. even if they draft a young kid, like I think they're going to let him play it out. They're going to have preseason this year, so he'll have opportunities to get reps. Obviously, Cam needs them, but like
Yep.
you're going to see Jarrett Stidham and maybe quarterback Trey Lance or Fields or whoever like come in and compete for that. Now, if they don't draft in the first round, there's a better chance that Stidham stays because would they keep a second round quarterback they just drafted on top of Stidham? Yes, I think that'd be more likely to
Yeah.
keep a third quarterback. Like they'll keep 3 quarterbacks if they don't draft someone in the first round, but you don't draft Trey Lance and keep him as your third option. Like you're
No,
drafting Trey
definitely
Lance to
not.
be the guy. I bet if you draft a quarterback in the first round, you believe in him enough to be the guy after this year.
Easily.
And,
Oh,
and
yeah.
and that's the decision you're gonna make. I also wouldn't be shocked if they draft. I don't want them to do this because I don't trust them to make the right decision. But draft a receiver in that first round.
I
At
mean, that could
15,
also happen.
you'll have options. You'll have options at 15. You could trade up and get a receiver from someone too. But like, wouldn't you? You need a legit future number 1 guy.
Mhm.
Because you didn't bring in a receiver like Aguilar. I guess Aguilar is probably technically your number 1 this year right now. Obviously, you have 2 stud tight ends, so like not a huge deal.
Yeah.
But like Aguilar's your number 1 receiver, and he's not a number 1 receiver. Um,
No chance.
Granted, I do think that the way the offense is set up, Diego, they don't necessarily need it. Like if you're all Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith with Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne, who I think is going to be sneaky really good. Like
Yeah.
I think I think people don't really know who he is, but like be sneaky really good as long as Cam can throw the football to him. And then you have Jacoby Myers now as what, your like 5th option.
Yeah.
Like that's perfect. Like that's all you need. And I think that's the idea here. You need someone to throw him the football.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that the only possibility that I could see the Patriots doing here as well is maybe adding up to the offensive line. Maybe going after somebody like Rashawn Slater. Maybe.
I think they'd get. I mean, I wouldn't hate it. Don't get me wrong, but I think they would
So,
get so crapped out if they went offensive line in the first round.
oh, yeah.
When, mind you, their offensive line's pretty good lined up right now. Like,
Yeah.
you brought what's his face back? You brought Trent Brown back.
Yep.
You somehow snuck David Andrews back. Don't know how that happened. All you really lost was a big deal. But you lost. Well, it was Joe Tooney, right? So like,
Yeah.
but that's it. Like you brought in Trent Brown who can fill those holes. Isaiah Wynn's legit. Like your offensive line, your run game this year is going to be just as good, if not better, than it was last year.
Yep.
Like Damian Harris is a legit number 1 in this league. You brought back James White.
Yep.
You still have Sonny Michel, who clearly is not a number 1, but can be a legit number 2, which is always going to be asked to be. You're going to pretty solid team this year.
Yeah.
You just need a quarterback to freaking be a game manager. So I was kind of hoping they'd bring in like Fitzpatrick or Alex Smith or somebody. Obviously, Smith retired, but like that would have been someone I'd rather than Cam Newton because at least he can manage the game and gets the guys the ball.
Yeah. I mean, I think if Alex Smith was to come to the Patriots, I would have probably let go of Stidham at this point, just because Alex Smith could really be the leadership role rather than Cam.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But I wouldn't think of Alex Smith being my quarterback 1, considering how physical the division is going to be this year, especially with the youth around him too.
The AFC East this year is going to be a dogfight, minus like the Jets. Jets have got to prove it. No, with Zach Wilson, maybe. Like maybe they'll surprise us, but like it's the Jets. So until they win, I'm going to assume no.
I mean, I'm a little terrified of the Jets too, though, because imagine Zach Wilson and Corey Davis. Let's not forget Corey Davis is a Jet too. I mean that.
So you have Corey Davis.
Insane.
You're gonna have Zach Wilson with Corey Davis. Perriman's still there, right?
Yeah.
And is it Jamison Crowder? Right, that's his first name.
Yeah.
That's a pretty legit receiving core. And the coach apparently everyone likes. So, and I don't remember his name, but I know it was a decent hire and people around the league liked it. So, yeah, you know what? It could potentially be a 14 division like the Buffalo Bills. I hope you enjoyed the 1-year reign, man, because you're not going to enjoy a easy cakewalk again this year, even if it's not the Patriots. Like I think the Dolphins are going to be right there. The Patriots will, I think, apply pressure this year. I think they're much better than what they were last year, and they won 7 games the year after Brady left with nothing.
Yeah.
Like if it's not for Bill Belichick, I'm sorry. Like people who think Bill Belichick's the problem, go away. They don't win 7 games with Bill Belichick not coaching. Like if Josh McDaniels is the head coach, they win like 4 games.
That's incredibly true. And I mean, honestly, to even think of Bill Belichick out of New England, either you fell really hard out of a tree or you have been concussed your whole entire life, because with the worst team that we've had since 2003 at this point in last year's team, and we still had a decent record. I mean, come on. Seriously, just knock it
Yeah,
off.
and he expected. I think everyone in that organization expected Brady to stay, which again was stupid. They shouldn't have. They didn't when they weren't nice to the guy. But like, I think their plan A last year was Brady staying, and he fucking said, "Peace, I'm out, see ya," and then went right decision. I rooted for the guy who won a Super Bowl. Like he went to Tampa Bay and said, "I'm going to take the worst organization in the sport, losing this franchise ever, and I'm going to go win a Super Bowl with them," and he did.
Yeah.
So look, I'm excited for the NFL season. I think the Patriots have a lot of optimism. Obviously, the spending spree drove us all nuts. I don't know how they pulled off Hunter Henry. Like, all this stuff happened. The next logical step for them during that time was, okay, now find me a quarterback to play with all these guys.
Yeah.
Because I don't think a lot of us believe in Cam Newton. I think maybe he deserves one more shot because of, again, all the offseason situation. He's in town, so is Stidham. They're part of the workout started, I think, yesterday. So, like, they're doing some stuff here as much as they can with COVID. But maybe Cam will be a little better. But I'm intrigued by next week. Draft's 29th. We have some plans here at Couch Guy, so just stay tuned.
Yes.
So
Big
just stay
plans.
tuned.
Big
You'll know soon. You'll know soon. But
yeah.
But yeah. So look, I think every Patriots fan should be glued to Couch Guy coverage, the draft coverage. Like, Patriots' big future hangs in the balance next week, Diego. Before we sign off, I want to know, because I don't know if you'll be on next week. What are they doing? All the analysts are coming in and out. What are the Patriots doing next week with their 15th overall pick?
They're trading. I'm sticking to what I said earlier. They're trading up to number 11 and taking Trey Lance as a quarterback.
I love it. 11 would be nice. I think they even trade up to 10, maybe even 9. Like, I think their team up even higher, but they just got to get above Denver. Like, that's the thing. They just got to get above Denver, because at this point, Trey Lance, Justin Fields should be there when Denver picks, if no one trades above. You know what I mean? Like, if Patriots don't trade up, those guys seem like they'll be there. So, unless Mac Jones doesn't go to 49ers. But that seems like that's happening. So, if you can get above Denver, you can have the quarterback of your choice. You might even be able to squeeze out a quarterback at 15, the way everyone's talking. I wouldn't risk it. I would trade up if you can, if you really like one of these guys, but they might be able to squeeze off like Trey Lance at 15, which that's a steal.
I mean, I wouldn't even oppose getting at number 15, somebody like Kyle Trask, to be honest.
If I'd be shocked if Kyle Trask goes in the first round. Like, I think you could probably squeeze him in the second. Like, is he a first round quarterback as much as I know of him? Like, I don't think so, but
maybe
if you believe in them, the Giants believed in Daniel Jones, and he wasn't supposed to be a first round pick. So, hey, if you believe it, then by all means. All right. We'll leave it there. Couch Guy Sports Podcast, episode 204. Twitch, YouTube, for all the network stuff, couchguysports.com. Follow us on iTunes, Spotify. Again, our Twitter account is still suspended, so that's not happening anytime soon. Just follow the network's Twitter handle. We're doing all of our stuff there. Got to figure out what Quacks did wrong. Until that, Diego, appreciate it as always.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, don't forget to follow his podcast. You're on Suplex Biddies too.
I am. Yep.
Suplex Biddies, new podcast, as well as the Yellow Card Podcast. Guys, Yellow Card Podcast is taking the soccer game by storm. It is by far one, and I'm saying this as a non-Couch Guy biased person right now. It's one of the best soccer podcasts I've listened to.
Thank you.
So they're killing it. They do Twitch live streams as well to watch some big games during the weekend. Thank God European soccer is not burning, so we can keep doing those. They're great content. Guys, watch the Revs. I swear they're going to be good this year. Watch the Revs. They actually exist. They seem to get out of Gillette Stadium. But Diego, appreciate it. Everyone else, we'll talk to you next week. Maybe with Al, maybe not. We'll find out.